5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Jeff Colson with the Junior Hockey Advisor. Sunday night show turned into Monday night show, turned into Tuesday night show. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. I haven't really been following the news, but hopefully this gets settled. I guess there's some things going on that's political with it, and I think there's some things that are actually going on technical, but not really my issue. I know it's a different night. I don't know what kind of audience we're going to get tonight, but it is going to be fantastic, the information we're going to share and we're going to talk about. I'm very, very excited to be with you tonight and to be talking about what we're going to talk about. We're going to get into a lot of stuff, and it's going to be mostly dealing with things from a parent perspective. What can we do better? What can we do to see a little bit into the future on how things are going to play out? Position ourselves properly, and just doing some things that may not be in the Hockey Canada or may not be in the USA Hockey Manual. In fact, in most cases are not going to be in either one of those manuals, but will be a big help for you. It doesn't matter if you're at U14, U16, U18 prep high school, all the way up into getting to the latter stages of your junior career. The things that we talk about today are important. They'll be a big help, and I think you're going to enjoy tonight. Let's get rolling with this. So what I want to start with tonight, and what I think is important that we start with tonight, is I want to actually share with you a video. It's actually part of our webinar series. The webinar that we do is called Reaching Your Ultimate Hockey Goals. And this is a chapter out of this. It takes a few minutes. Bear with it. I think you'll find it to be extremely valuable. But we're going to talk about dream killers, and we're going to talk about taking the stance and recognizing dream killers in your everyday life in the hockey world. And this is extremely important because they're not always who you think they are, and they're not always the people you think they are, or they're not always coming at it from the positions of negativity, which is going to be extremely important to kind of understand this. So let me get rolling with this. Let me put this on for you and enjoy, and then I'll catch you on the backside of this video, and we'll go from there. So here it is. Let's get rolling.
If you don't know what a dream killer is anybody that hinders the process towards the goal you're trying to get to. And they come in many different forms and different fashions. Let's cover a few of these. First of all, it's a shame game. It happens in elementary school, it happens in middle school, high school, happens on the job, and we're going to discuss how it fits into hockey. One of the biggest things is, in many cases, those closest to you kill the dream. One of the hardest dream killers to identify are usually the ones that are considered to be on your side, your friends, your family. And they're supposed to be aligned with you. And many times they are aligned with you and they are trying to do the right thing. They just don't do it the right way. Dream killers are right in front of you, like we said, and they're right in front of your player. They're often friendly and nice. And how about this guy? This is the if you're good enough, they'll find you guy. Sometimes he's very easy to spot because he's got a kid on the team, or he's one of the coaches. He consciously or subconsciously is always finding a way to block upward progression. Who is the they that is going to find you? It is very important to realize that people aren't scouring the lower levels of hockey for talent for the most part. People that are at the higher levels go to other higher levels to find talent for the most part. And we'll get into that later. But this is just good to know that guy exists. How about this guy? He's the coach or the travel director, or he's the president of the league that steps in front of the parents and the players and he says, relax. Nobody in this group's going pro anyway. Let's just have fun. We wouldn't accept this in a classroom, but we accept it in hockey. You'd never want your teacher standing up there and going, hey, little boys and little girls, none of you are going to be a doctor or a lawyer, or hey, there's no way you're going to be president. So let's just set that aside. Let's just learn and have fun in the classroom. You want a teacher that is going, okay, that's great. I'm glad you have goals. Let's make sure that we do the things you need to do to get there. And I'm going to help you get everything I can get done at my level so you can improve to get to the next level. Okay, here's this guy. This is the take the summer off guy. He is usually a coach, and he's usually has a kid on the team that also plays baseball, and he's also the baseball coach. Or he's the coach that also has a boat and a cabin on the lake. There's other things that are interest in his life. So his attitude about taking the summer off really isn't about development. It's about him being able to do other things. So, and these guys exist. I've ran across these guys 1,000 times. Their agenda doesn't need to be your agenda. If your goal is to play summer hockey, there's nobody that should be saying don't play summer hockey. If your family chooses to go that route, that's your choice. Sometimes that same statement comes from a celebrity. Back in my day, we walked 5 miles to the rink guy. Well, this is one of my favorite iconic players ever, Bobby Orr. Bobby Orr is often quoted in saying that he thinks that kids should hang the skates up in the spring and not pick them up to the fall. Well, back in the 50s, when Bobby was playing at the youth level, all the rinks in Canada shut down come spring and didn't open up until mid to late fall. Every kid had to take 6 months off. That's not the society we live in now. Rinks, and USA Hockey have developed a partnership to keep rinks, because they're mostly privately owned now, open 24/7. So we know that when he grew up, it was a different era. But let's talk about Bobby now.
All right, looks like we got a little bit of a delay going on that. I'll let that catch up, and I'll chat with you a little bit while the video is catching up. I'm not sure what the reason is, but we'll just go back to full screen. I'll talk a little about that. We're going to go back to that a little bit, but I think we hit on some things. None of the people that I just mentioned that parents interact with are people that are supposedly against you. These are not enemies. These are not people that are purposely trying to hurt you. Now, maybe subconsciously, or maybe under the surface, there's a underlying tide that's trying to pull back or detract. Realize it even happens when I'm out scouting U18 players. I'm always running against coaches that are trying to convince players that they should be 2-year, 18U youth players. Okay, they played their 16s, they'd go to 18 for a year, and the coach is saying, oh, you really need 2 years of development at 18. Some kids do, some kids don't. But the issue there is not always that it's in the kid's best interest. That coach wants to powerhouse the team the next year. It's just like at the junior level, there's some coaches that subconsciously, they don't know they're even doing this sometimes, where they're building a scenario that's best for their team, not always best for the individual. So in all these cases we're talking about with coaches and people, it's not that they're trying to do things to hurt you, but you have to be able to recognize these people are dream killers. If somebody that you're playing youth hockey with 14, 16, 18 years old says, and they're influencers on your kids, they're influences on your teammates, and they're saying, look, you should take the summer off. Now, to a degree, that's a different argument on how much to do in the summer. But really, that's not their choice. It's the individual players and their family's choice on what they should do. Now you're put in a situation where an authority figure is giving your player advice, your son or daughter advice, and you've got to counter that advice because it's not the advice that you believe as a family is right for your kid. It puts you in a really bad spot. And a lot of times it needs to be a direct conversation with that person, just saying, hey, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth because everybody handles these situations differently. I tend to have the conversation of, hey, I appreciate everything you do. I like what you're doing. You're a great coach, but I don't believe necessarily in everything you do. And we're not going to follow that track. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, that some of the things we do are different. And usually coaches will be good with that. And sometimes they'll even tone down the rhetoric a little bit. But it's that take the summer off guy. It's the, hey, don't worry, they'll find you guy. All these things are things that are counterintuitive to progressing up the ladder. And I use that example of the classroom because I think that's extremely important. Just think about that. Do you want your 5th grader, your 8th grader, your 10th grader, your 12th grader in a classroom with teachers that say, nah, nobody can do that. Don't worry about going to grad school. You haven't even got out of this grade yet. Okay, just worry about doing a good job in this class. Okay, to an extent, that's a good message, and that's a positive message. Just focus on getting good grades now. But that's also a dream killer saying, hey, look, nobody in this class is going to go to Harvard and go to grad school or go to medical school or become a president or a senator. So don't worry about that. The odds are against you. We wouldn't accept that in the classroom. We wouldn't accept the the principal of a school getting up in front of an assembly and saying, let's just start off on a clear, this school has never had a senator, and most of you will never even get to that level, so let's not worry about that. That we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't accept that. If parents found out that was the message, there would be a revolt towards that school. We all know that. So part of this process as a parent is just understanding that the message out there may be in the intent of being positive and puts you in the middle between your player saying, well, that's what the coach said, or that's what the league said, that's what they say I should do, and you as a parent knowing that what you're doing is right and okay. It's okay to have dreams. It's okay to work hard towards those dreams. And we all know that it's the person that works hardest that moves up the ladder. It rarely in life is it the person that's taking summers off that moves to the next level. Rarely in life is it the person that's been told this whole life that they can't that actually succeeds. It's people that are encouraged and saying, yes, you can do that. So let's get back and see if we can jump back on. Give me some comments on this. Let me know if this is working for you and if this is something we should do some more of. But once again, this is we're going to continue the video. This is out of our Reaching Your Ultimate Hockey Goals webinar. Excuse me, and it's called Dream Killers. And we're gonna continue on this. And once again, let me know if in the comments if this is working for you or not as we get back to this. And it is right there. Okay. Oh, and it's going to give me the iconic wait signal again. So, all right, let's get away from that. I can walk through this anyway. If you haven't yet watched this whole webinar or gone through the webinar, this is just one chapter of it. It's an extremely helpful video. The Bobby Orr situation we were talking about right there is, and where we're at in the video right now is, Bobby Orr right now is a family advisor. He works out of the Boston area. He's got the Orr Group, has phenomenal clients. Some of the biggest names in hockey Bobby Orr works with. The interesting thing is the only time I've ever ran into Bobby Orr is in spring and summer showcase events. Okay, not to say he doesn't work out the rest of the year. I'm sure he does. But my point is, here's a guy that doesn't advocate for any spring or summer hockey, but he always attends the major spring and summer hockey events and meets with kids, scouts and recruits kids, and talks to families there at the events, and mostly in the Boston area. But that to me is a little bit hypocritical if that's the case. Number two, his major client is Connor McDavid, or at least was. I don't know if he's still representing him, but I think he is. And Connor McDavid is known as a 24/7 since he's been 14. Before he even went to the OHL, he was known for this incredible work ethic, just this absolute, phenomenal work ethic. So I bring that up to you because if you think about the process and you think about what these people are saying, a lot of times they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, and especially in a situation like that. I don't believe, in my personal opinion is, I don't believe that anybody should be saying, take the skates off year-round, because it's a different world now. Yes, I advocate that everybody plays multiple sports. I advocate that people get away from hockey for a few weeks. Absolutely. I don't think anybody can argue that those things are good. But to be able to keep up with the people that are trying to succeed, you can't take the whole summer off anymore. You can't say, hey, well, I'm going fishing for the summer like you used to. Very few. I mean, I know of maybe one person and that's Phil Kessel, that's got that attitude, that's in the NHL. Extraordinary skater, extraordinary talent, that puts the skates away for a few months when the season's over and gets away with it. But he always comes in, 20, 30 pounds heavier than he ends the season. And he kind of uses the old school mythology of skating the weight off during the season. So I don't know if I fully agree with Bobby Orr in that sense. So let's see what we got in comments. Let's see what's going out there with people. I got to use my glasses because I'm using a small computer screen and not the big one right now. So let's jump over and see who's on and see what we can say here. All right, I see Richard's on. Good to see you. Perry's on from Long Island. Long Island is strong tonight because Richard and Perry are both there. Yes, it would be interesting if my son goes older. I agree with you. The coaches have subconscious perspectives. Absolutely. Good comment there. I'll throw that up on the screen so everybody can see that. Perry's at the rink watching practice. Good to see you in the house. Okay, thank you for helping not feel so bad. My son did spring hockey and 2 summer camps this summer. I think it's a personal choice. I don't think that is up to anybody to tell you if that's right or wrong. That's really got to be you. Mark Boston is in New Hampshire. He's here, and the comment that Mark threw up here was, "My son is realizing that now." I'm assuming we're talking about people with different perspectives. Now, look, I didn't get into all the dream killers there, and I didn't get into all of them because dream killers get into many different forms. If we could run the video, and it's probably best that I don't run the whole thing because you probably would, you can watch this video anytime you want. You can go to Junior Hockey Advisor and sign up for this video at any point. Now, as you look at this video and talk about dream killers, friendly fires, some different things that you might not think about. You go to your game. You're playing. Your son plays in the game, has a great game at Sunday afternoon. You go out to dinner with Grandma. Grandma comes out to dinner with you after the game. Everything was going to be great, and Grandma says, "Oh, you guys do this every weekend? Honey, how do you get any time to do anything else in life? Oh, well, just hockey?" Or Grandma sits down at the table and starts talking about things that are counter to what the family wants to do. She's not trying to do anything. She's giving her opinion. But once again, it's the friendly fire. It's the people that are closest to you. Here's the one that most people don't think about. You've got two people can do this. Two people can be extremely inflammatory on the negative side to you, your player, and your team and your current coach. One is the skills advisor. You've got a skills coach. Does an awesome job. You love this guy. He's young. He played college. Maybe he played in the ECHL a little bit. He's energetic. He really focuses on, you get him for a half an hour once a week, and he's doing everything you want him to do. I was that guy. I did that for years and years and years and years. Did private lessons. And I was the dream killer at times, and I caught myself early on doing this, and I fixed it. But here's what a skills guy will do. A skills guy will build the relationship, do excellent things for you. He'll fix your stride. He'll make you stronger. He'll make your shot better. He'll get you skating with your head up. All the things you need, he's doing for you. It's money well spent. There's nothing wrong with this to this point. He comes and sits down next to you, watching the game on Saturday afternoon. You took a lesson with him on Thursday. He was in the building, he's in the rink, and he sits down next to you to catch a little bit of Johnny's game. So he's watching Johnny's game, and he goes, "Ooh," or "Really? He's not on the first power play? What, he's not on the penalty kill? Really? He's on the third line?" And he starts just putting these little things out, okay? It's not his job to sit there and question the coach. It's not his job to do anything except for to improve the skills and build confidence when he's improving your skills. That will translate at some point. But it's not his job to come in there and wince or go, "What?" And go, I don't understand. Why is he not on the first line? And he's sitting with the parent or even says it to Johnny in his next lesson. He goes, "Hey, I went and watched your game. Wow, they're not using you on the power play?" Versus getting on the same side of everybody and going, "Hey, look, I saw you weren't on the power play, but I think you're getting closer because all the skills we're working on are going to make you better to be there." So once again, this is a person that's on your side trying to help you, but is killing the dream or actually getting in the way and hindering that. Now, here's the one that goes all the way up through juniors. That's your advisor. And if you do hire an advisor and you choose to use an advisor, here's where you can get yourself in trouble. You got an advisor, and the advisor gets between you and the team, gets between you and the player and the team, doing the same exact thing what the skills instructor does. Wincing on the phone call, going to watch a game, possibly even calling the coach of the team and going, hey, what's up? Why isn't he on the power play? Not his role, not his job. And it puts himself in a situation where he is building a question mark between who's right and who's wrong. You never want to have a player that has to decide who's right or who's wrong. So what do you do? What do you do if you have that advisor or you have that skills instructor that's doing that? It's a simple conversation. Hey, Phil, we love you as an instructor. You're doing a great job. Unbelievable work. We don't plan on changing anything, but please do me one favor. Let's let the coach the team. You work on the skills part, and let's not worry about what the coach is doing, because we have to be able to believe in what that side's doing too. And it's a conversation that is not comfortable for anybody to have, but it needs to be had. And it's the same thing with an advisor. Setting the expectations very clearly on who and when and where people are interacting with a coach, or sending a message that's not the same message the team's sending. Maybe Johnny's real close to making the power play. He's playing juniors at this point. My Johnny jumps ages as I use him in different analogies. Johnny's just about to be on the power play. He's working on the power play. Maybe he's the sixth guy that in the right circumstances they use him. Somebody gets hurt, somebody's in the penalty box, whatever the case may be. Somebody's injured. Then all of a sudden the advisor calls up and says, hey, coach, what the hell? Man, you got a good player there. Why aren't you using him? What do you think the first, what most coaches at the tier 1 or tier 2 level, and possibly tier 3 level, what do you think they're going to say or do? Do you think they're going to turn around and have a positive thing to say? No, they're probably going to take that as an affront to their ability to coach. So anyway, I wanted to share a little bit of that with you. I want to get on to some other things as far as politics, and I want to share a couple stories with you. But let's see who else has jumped on. And here we go. Let's see what else we got. Lori, good to see you on here. Lori's comment is, unfortunately, many of the skills coaches out there are their way of the highway. That's great, except trying to make sure that maybe you have that conversation with them that their way is great on their ice. When your son is playing with the other coach, he's got to be able to buy in and lock on there, and let's not confuse the messages. And it usually is a conversation that goes well if you actually have that conversation. I've had people tell me that, hey, look, Jeff, what you're doing is awesome. The skills you're working on are great, but let's let the coach, because I was a coach too, and I am a coach, and I want to coach at times, and sometimes it bleeds over. It's very hard for skills instructors to stay in their lane, and so that's good. Let's see what Mark's got to say here. Mark's at the end of the season, he was asked to try out for a few teams, and a tournament was planned 3-3 as well, all within a few weeks. He may have had a night or two off at the time. His only request was to take a little time off in the past summer. I think it benefited him already. Nothing wrong with anything you're saying there. Believe that's you're on track with that. Hey, Brian's on in Trenton. Good to see you there too. So I'm going to give you a story that kind of gives you an idea of some of the things that I think there's some things that parents have to, I had a couple chaos calls. As you know, chaos calls are what I do with parents, and it's also available through Junior Hockey Advisor. And what a chaos call is when you're in an impasse on the road, when you don't know which direction to go yet. Maybe you have an advisor, maybe you don't. Maybe you're looking to hire an advisor. Maybe you're looking to move teams. Maybe you're looking to move markets. And there's a lot of different things out there, and I help people clarify their choices. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is, hey, you have to pay attention to the politics of the youth organization you're with. You have to pay attention to it at all times. It doesn't mean get involved with the politics of your youth organization, but you have to pay attention to it. What are the politics? It's the parent group. Okay, you may not, many dads like to stand by themselves. Maybe they stand with one or two other dads, and that's great. But as a parent, I'll give you a story first, then let's work back from the story, and maybe this will help a little bit. I have a family member. who is now a AHL, American Hockey League, right below the NHL coach. When he was playing a few years ago at the U14 level, everything was going great. They actually had a few, probably half the team, 3/4 of the team were Division I level players eventually. A couple of the kids actually went to the NHL. One is still playing in the NHL. What was interesting about the situation, though, is everything looked like it was going well. And then the spring tryouts came around, and the team broke and fragmented. And my family member didn't see it coming. Now, this isn't one of my direct kids. It's my nephew, but he didn't see it coming. The family didn't see it coming because they're apolitical. They're very positive. They don't get in the mix of the politics of the parent group. In this situation, everything ended up working okay. But what happened to him was half the team went over to this other, superstar team. Half the team went over here. He was stuck holding the bag. Literally, his only choice at that point was to play AA hockey for a year. Everything was filled up. He was there was no place for him to go. Last minute situation like that happens all the time to kids. Every year, there's people planning on exiting. Every year, there is a second line player that thinks he should be a first line player, or the parents think he should be a first line player. Every year, there's a goalie that's getting 40% of the time instead of 50 or 60% of the time and decides to leave teams. This happens all the time. But if you're not on the pulse of this and you're not, you don't have a sense of it, you can be left holding the bag. Now, in my nephew's case, things worked around. He played 1 year AA, went back, played 16s and 18s on a national championship level team, ended up being the first round draft pick in the USHL. Now, went on, played D1. My point on this is he's a great hockey player, was a great hockey player. And this whole nonsense about, they'll find you, just let it happen. Here's a great kid that nobody was looking at the time to recruit because it all looked like it was all in place. One group thought he was part of the other group. The other group thought he was part of this group. So when these fractions broke up and they went to different teams, the family that wasn't involved, that didn't have their finger on the pulse, was the family. Now, they weren't their only family. There was a couple of them, but they were the ones left holding the bags. Politically, you have to at least have your finger on the pulse. I would say don't ever lead the group, but make sure you're hearing what's going on with that team at all times. You can't be too close to the coach. You can't be too close to the parents, but you have to be able to have a finger on the pulse. It's going to make a huge difference when these things come up, and they do happen. That's politics. We all know hockey's political. We all know that you can't just go to the rink and play and everything will be fine. We all know that the sense of they will find you doesn't happen. You all know that I work in the industry as a player development person for one of the North American Hockey League teams. I can tell you right now, I won't watch a AA game this year. I have no need to. There's plenty of talent at the AAA level, the Tier 1 level. There's certain Tier 1 leagues that I'll spend very little time with because I know there's a plethora of talent over here. I'll go where the numbers are easiest for me to grab that talent. So I just want to make sure you know that you need to follow the politics. Doesn't mean you have to be political. Doesn't mean you have to jump into the politics. It just means you have to be aware of the things going on. So, excuse me on that. Still trying to get over the same ear, nose, and throat thing that I've had for 2 weeks now. This all leads into the conversation about parents and their roles and what they should be doing. I've seen online, even on our discussion group, some people saying, let the player decide what their drive is. You have to assume, if you're looking to move up the echelons, that the player that's the person that needs the least amount of motivation. Usually, a player will, push and push and push and want to play at the highest level, want to go up. If he doesn't, that should be your indicator that where you're at is fine. Maybe from time to time, there's got to be a conversation about, is this what you really want to do? But 90% of the time, the first fallout is the commitment from the parent, 90% of the time. And I say that because you know, this is an experience talking from my end as a coach, as a general manager. What do I mean by the fault, the lack of commitment? Well, at some point, there's going to be fissures. The fissure is mom and dad don't agree. The worst thing in the world is when one of the dream killers actually is living in your house because mom and dad don't agree. Either dad or mom is the driver on trying to pursue hockey to its fullest, and the other spouse doesn't agree. That really, really is almost impossible to overcome. Separated parents usually come into this case. It's very, very difficult to overcome when there's somebody that's an anchor pulling in the wrong direction. But as a parent, we talk about how many things kids have to sacrifice, but we rarely talk about what parents have to sacrifice. And that's really the time. As a parent, are you willing to put 40, 80, 100 hours a week? Because remember, travel on the weekends, we're dedicating a whole weekend. That's 72 hours that we dedicate over a weekend, or 48 to 72, depending on what day you leave for a weekend tournament or a showcase, something that's taking you out of town for away games. Are you willing to give up that much time to pursue this fully? It's the money. It's how much money you're willing to put into this. I think I've shared the story with you before. Locally here in Rochester, it came up through the organization I was the president of, was Callahan from Tampa Bay. Captain, he was for the Rangers, captain of the Rangers, went to Tampa Bay. Phenomenal hockey player, had a career in hockey. His dad mortgaged their house. It's common knowledge that he mortgaged his house, mortgaged everything he had to be able to get enough money to develop and to be able to pursue all the things year round for his son to be able to play hockey. Are you willing to do that? Not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that's the kind of sacrifice that people make. And obviously in that situation, it paid off. Hobbies, hey, when my kids were young, the winter tennis, I'd like to say I'm a 12-month-a-year tennis player, but that went away. The winter tennis, maybe I get out on a Tuesday night or get out on a Thursday night, but that year-round tennis went away for me. That hobby wasn't there anymore. The use of the boats and the jet skis and all that thing got limited way down because there had to be a sacrifice on some things. I couldn't do the hobbies as a parent. I'm not talking about the family. What I like to do had to drop down drastically. Hey, there are many, many people that have to give up a career to pursue their child's sport or their child's passion. Are you willing to do that? Is that a sacrifice you're willing to make? The social life, now here's the one that's really hard, is the family dynamic. There are people I know, there are people that came through our program that are KHL players now or were NHL players at that level. Numerous families. Now, don't take me wrong. I'm not saying that this is a choice that is an option that you want to pursue, but the family got divorced off of the fact that parents had an opposing view on sports and how much effort and time was being put in, money was being put into the sport. And so they had to make a decision as a family what was best to move forward. And I've seen families more than once, more than a half dozen times. I can't say I've seen it, into the 10s or 20s, but I've seen this happen, 6, 8 times in the last 20 years, 30 years, maybe more if I think about it, where families have separated because of the sport, because they're trying to ascend to the highest levels. The extended family is the biggest part, because when you're playing at Thanksgiving and you're playing over the Christmas break, or you're playing through the spring and summer, maybe grandma and grandpa don't get visited as much. Maybe your aunts and uncles become less of a part of your family's life as you pursue this. And this is the part that gets tough for kids. It gets tough for people to be able to still pursue the sport to the highest level when they have to give up all these things. So as a parent, there's so many things. And once again, at no point am I trying to advise you that you got to take the road of sacrifice on every one of these things. And at no point am I suggesting that any of these things are right or wrong. I'm just saying that there is sacrifice that comes along with player development and trying to pursue the highest levels of anything. And this could be the trombone player. This could be the ballerina. This could be, many, many things. A golfer, a tennis player. It is not exclusive to hockey, but the sacrifice is exclusive to being elite. And so when we look at this, we have to look at those things and talk about those things across the board. What are your thoughts? What are your opinions on this? I know I've been talking about this for a while tonight, but let me know in your comments what you're thinking. I know it's a small audience tonight. This is a Tuesday night. We're not on usually on Tuesdays, but I thought that this would be something you'd be interested in. And I highly recommend two things for you. I am going to plug two things tonight. I usually don't plug much on the free live streams, but the chaos calls work. If you're in an impasse, if you're trying to figure out where to go and how to go and where to go, this week most of the chaos calls that I've worked on this week have been pre-advisor calls, pre-making the big decision on if it's prep or U18. Those are the areas where mostly I'm able to help clarify the ground. And I'm not here to be your advisor. I'm here to kind of get you pointed in the right direction. And for less than the cost of a hockey stick, I can help you in that respect. And the other one is I really, really believe in our video webinar series, and especially the one on recognizing dream killers. It's actually the name of the video is or the webinar is Reaching Your Ultimate Hockey Goals, and it gets into marketing your player, gets into building a structure, building a team around your player. It low to no cost. It talks about dream killers. We get into a lot of things in this. It talks about the advisor and the role. It's an extremely helpful video webinar series. It's a multiple level of videos and handouts. I strongly recommend it and think that it's extremely helpful for people. And we've got so many free resources on all this stuff. You're able to go back and grab some of these things that we already do. Take advantage of the Facebook discussion group. Take advantage of the YouTube page. Like and follow us on both. It'll be extremely helpful for you across the board. Let's see some of the comments that are coming on. Richard says, I don't have a choice so far since my son averages 3 goals a game. Wonder if he hits a plateau that will be a dream killer for him or me. Boy, that's a good question. So you're on the top end. Things are going really well. It'll be interesting to see how that plays off. DM me on that. Keep me in the loop on that. I'd love to see how that works and how that goes for you. Lori says, that is very true. Family members that don't understand hockey and the commitment make it hard to explain the process. I find this to be the two areas that I've had experience with this in is it's the family member that comes in to watch hockey for the first time. Grandpa, my father-in-law, my mother, an aunt or an uncle that comes in and goes, that are not hockey people. Yeah, we do have some non-hockey people in our family. They come in and watch a game and go, oh, you got another game today too? Oh my gosh, it's a tournament. You didn't do this all weekend? Oh, okay. And they get depressed and they do this in front of the player where, I thought we could go back to the house and we could play Monopoly, or I thought we'd go to see a movie this afternoon, or any little thing like that that's subtle that gets in the way of the message of, hey, we're here for a tournament. We lived in Rochester, New York. All of our family's back in Michigan. So when we went back to tournaments in Michigan, the non-hockey people would usually be the ones that are having that issue or that conversation that kind of detracted right off the bat. So it happens all the time. It happens over dinner. The other one is around the holidays. Oh, you can only come in for Christmas Day, huh? Oh, gee, we had plans all week and we thought you were going to come in for the week. And that conversation's with Johnny. Oh, sorry, Johnny. We were going to have snowball fights and we were going to go sledding and skiing. Oh, I didn't realize you're going to play hockey the whole break. Great. Those things are wonderful. You want to be able to do those things. But it's the attitude and the way they come across that can really, really put a hindrance on things. Hey, look, if there's any other questions or comments, please put them on. I know this will get a lot of views in our replays. That's where they normally are watched anyway. But anybody that's out there watching right now, if you've got anything to add, I sure would love to hear it. I am going to look at the other screens that I've got going because some of the comments come in on the other pages. So I'll just take a quick look and see if there's anything that we want to add to this that we haven't talked about yet. And then we'll call it a night if you don't have anything else that you want want to discuss on this. And I'm jumping on. Got to turn the sound off because we don't need the sound from both going. There is a delay on this, so. All right, hey, look, I think I've covered most of the comments. We got a lot of comments that are out there. Most of them are good. You know, as you know, we're going out to multiple platforms on Facebook, and we're going out to multiple platforms on YouTube right now. So feel free to DM me, feel to message me. Take advantage of the tools we have out there, both free and our paid services like our webinars and our chaos calls. But jump onto YouTube, onto the Junior Hockey Advisor page. You'll find all types of free content on there. It may take you a little longer to go through the free content, but it's there. We've been doing this for, we're in our second year now of once a week and all kinds of little content that we put out where we publish. If you don't understand things, feel free to DM me. I'll try to direct you in the right direction. I do respond to most DMs, most emails, but remember, people want to get into a little bit more extensive call. That's where the chaos call comes in. That's where I can help you out in that part. Hey, have a wonderful night. I hope this helped. Remember, stay focused, stay positive, stay on message, build a team around you that's going to help you get to where you're going to go. Have those difficult conversations with the people that influence your player and influence you, and make sure you keep going, because the positive results that come out of all this are phenomenal. It's worth it. It is worth it to play in an elite level. It's worth it when you get to the junior levels. It's worth it when you get to the college levels. You're going to enjoy the process, and you're going to enjoy the results. I wish you all good luck. I'll see you next week.